Hello students, how are you? Beware of Corona COVID-19. Take care of yourself, your parents and your siblings during COVID-19. Dear students, I am Vinay Kumar Singh, lecturer English at Sardar Patel Inter College Chargaon, district Jhansi. Students, today I am going to teach you comprehension. In this video, I am going to teach you comprehension. Students, before I start teaching you, explaining line by line, word by word, let's know something about comprehension. Comprehensive passage. Students, comprehensive passages are of different kinds. These may be factual based on facts, factual, discursive, literary, etc. Students, factual passage includes some facts about physical aspect of a subject. It includes instructions, descriptions or reports. It helps student to get a detailed view of the subject and develop a complete mental pictures of a specific person, place or object being discussed in that comprehension. A discursive passage includes argumentative, interpretative and persuasive texts. Such passages may include opinion or feedback. It allows students to arrive at a conclusion through reasoning, through understanding, rather than intuitioning. Students, it presents a balanced and objective approach towards the subject being discussed. Students, literary passages may be extract from poems, biographies, autobiographies, fictions, travelogue, etc. Students, I think I have told about different kinds of comprehensive passages. Students, let's have some tips so that you may score more and more marks during exams. Students, my first advice to you all, my first tip out of many tips is that you should read the comprehensive passage very carefully. Each and every line, each and every word should be read very carefully. If you read the comprehension twice, it will be very helpful to you to find the answers very easily. Students, you should emphasize on the reading of the initial parts in initial paragraphs as well as concluding paragraphs of the comprehension, because the opening parts and the concluding parts hold very important information about the whole passage. So it may be very helpful to you all. My third tips to you all is that while reading, you should underline every difficult word. Students, you should be very clear that you should underline difficult words, because you may be tested on these difficult words under vocabulary questions. So you should keep in mind. Next, students, while giving answers of the questions, you should be completely sure that your answers are relevant and you have totally understood the questions. Your answer should be based on the information given in the passage. You should also keep in mind the scores, the marks allotted for the questions. Your answer should be according to the marks allotted to the questions. Subjective questions should be answered in complete sentences, not in a word or a few words. Okay? Keep these things in mind. Students, be sure that the answer you are writing is in the same tense in which you have been asked the questions have been asked. Students, after giving answers of all the questions, read the answers one by one carefully to find out grammatical mistakes if you have done or spelling mistakes, so that you may sort the mistakes out. Students, I think I've told you enough. I've given you enough clues and tips to score more and more marks during exams by solving comprehensive passages. Students, let's start reading the passage and clearing the meaning. Today's wars have little in common with the battles of 19th century. In this paragraph, we are told that the nature of the 19th century wars and the nature of today's war has been completely changed. Has nothing in common. The fighting has gradually moved from clearly defined battlefields to the populated areas, populated lands. The battlefield, the warfare is not limited only to the battlefield, but it has come to the populated lands, to the cities where innocent people live. Traditional wars between armies of opposite states is an exception. Means traditional war which is fought between armies इज एन एक्सेप्शन, ये अपवाद है, ये वहीं सीमा पर लड़ी जाती है, सैनिकों के साथ लड़ी जाती है. वाइल नॉन इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स हैव बिकम नॉर्म, जबकि नॉन इंटरनेशनल जो संघर्ष लड़ाइयाँ हैं ये तो आए दिन की वो हो गई हैं. नाउअडेज सिविलियन बेयर द ब्रंट ऑफ आर्म्ड कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स एंड द मोस्ट ऑफ द ब्रूटल इफेक्ट्स आर borne by the civilians of the caused by the conflict, caused by the struggle or fight between nations, between two nations. International humanitarian law has adapted to change. The law of international humanitarian ground has also adjusted to the present changes that has occurred in our society, in states, in international level countries, appalled by the destruction and suffering caused by the Second World War. States agreed in the four Geneva Conventions of 1949 on comprehensive protection of those who are not or no longer participating in hostilities, wounded and sick soldiers, prisoners of wars and civilians. After Second World War, the statesmen of the world thought that comprehensive protection should be given to those persons who are not involved in wars, battles, hostilities, and wounded and sick soldiers who are not participating in the battle. Even prisoners of war, those prisoners who were taken prisoners during wars, during battles, and civilians. Geneva Convention, 4 Geneva Convention 1949 is a landmark in this connection. इस संदर्भ में जो 4 जेनेवा कन्वेंशन 1949 है, ये लैंडमार्क है, प्रमुख चीज है, माइलस्टोन है. This cornerstone of international humanitarian law was supplemented in 1977 and 2005 by 3 additional protocols. 3 additional protocols were provided, were mentioned by in 1977 and 2005. The use of certain weapons such as biological or chemical and biological weapons, cluster munition and personal mines is now widely outlawed. It had been outlawed, declared illegal, not good for humanity and humanitarian thought. The law has placed barriers to protect the most vulnerable from the brutality of war. कानून ने जो है क्या कर दिया, इस नियम ने has placed barriers, इसने जो है it has put hurdles to the most vulnerable from the brutality of the war, destruction of the war. Its implementation has also seen a certain amount of progress. The execution of this convention, Geneva Convention 1949, has seen progress, much progress, such as in training of all of the soldiers or in the prosecution of the worst war crimes, thanks in particular to the founding of the International Criminal Court. And the author is very thankful for the International Criminal Court's foundation. Okay, अंतर्राष्ट्रीय आपराधिक कोड जो है का गठन हुआ इसलिए. Nevertheless, regular serious breaches of international humanitarian law are cause of suffering. इसके बावजूद भी international humanitarian law is violated, overlooked, and these are the cause of sufferings. Underlying it all is our collective failure. Behind such types of breaches of international humanitarian law, there is total failure of all the nations who signed the contracting states, the states who have contracted Geneva Convention should look Article 1 common to 4 Geneva Convention 1949 to respect and to ensure respect for these countries' conventions. They should respect and ensure respect for the conventions expressed in Geneva Convention 1949. In all circumstances, under any situation, they should ensure respect. They should respect the regulations, the norms mentioned in the Geneva Convention. International humanitarian law has, since its conception, lacked mechanism for encouraging effective compliance. It has no effective mechanism so that effective compliance can be done. So it is one reason. Since this impotence has often meant death and destruction for those affected by war, and the lack of effective mechanism is root cause, is its weakness. Impotence means weakness. Since the adoption of the first Geneva Convention 150 years ago, international humanitarian law has become a central pillar. It has become a central pillar, a milestone of the international legal order. Ultimately, its provisions serve to protect our key characteristics as human being, means humanity. It has serves to protect our humanity, our humanitarian thinking, our humanity. This is an irrevocable law, right? It is based on the belief forged over centuries and in all our cultures, according to which it is essential to lay down rules if we want to prevent wars for degenerating in barbarism. If we want to stop the barbarism during war, stop the degenerating in barbarism, wars degenerating in barbarism, we should make effective rules, effective mechanism. It is up to our generation to consolidate these achievements, these progresses, these developments should be consolidated, and it's the responsibility of this one lies on our present day generation shoulders, and to create an institutional framework. There is the requirement of an institutional framework to ensure these rules are observed and followed, respected. If it is to be fully effective, the law needs suitable instruments. If it is hoped to be fully effective, suitable instrument is required, is must. Never in the history of humankind have we been closer to solution than we are today. Today we are very close to the solution of the wars in the history of humankind. Students, I think you will have to a complete understanding of the whole passage and words also. Let's answer the questions. You know, two types of questions are asked and will be asked in your exams based on the comprehension. First type of question, short questions, 3 marks each. Second type of question will be based on vocabulary and 1.5 marks will be allotted for vocabulary questions, 2 questions, 1.5 and 1.5 means 3 marks. Let's read questions and try to answer these questions. How are today's wars different from the wars of the 19th century? Students, I told you that the present day wars are different from the wars of 19th century because now the wars has moved from specified battlefields to the populated areas, those areas where innocent civilians live. Now the wars are not limited on the battlefield, not limited only to armies to army, okay, soldiers to soldier. It has moved to the civilians also. This is answer. Now come to the second question. What is the state of international humanitarian laws implementation? इंटरनेशनल ह्यूमैनिटेरियन लॉ की क्रियान्वयन की क्या प्रगति है? द इम्प्लीमेंटेशन, द इंटरनेशनल ह्यूमैनिटेरियन लॉ हैज मेड much progress. It has done big progress, tremendous progress. Still, some steps are required. Institutional framework is required for the compliance. Suitable instrument is required, but it has made the execution of international humanitarian law has got its great big height, big progress, tremendous progress. Now come to the third question: how can the law become completely effective? ये जो इंटरनेशनल लॉ है, इंटरनेशनल ह्यूमैनिटेरियन लॉ, ये किस प्रकार से पूर्ण रूप से प्रभावी हो सकता है? It can be fully effective if an institutional framework, okay, institutional framework is made, one thing, and suitable instruments is needed, required for the compliance of these norms. Okay, now come to the second type of questions. What do you mean by the word impotence? The word occurred in third paragraph. Impotence means weakness, kamjori. Okay, next, what do you mean by the word barbarism? Occurred in fourth paragraph. This word occurs in the fourth paragraph. Barbarism means savage, जंगलीपन, बहसीपन. Okay, students, I think you'll have got complete knowledge, complete understanding of the above passage comprehension. Thanks. Please take care of yourself. Okay, thanks.